Welcome friends, welcome to Sri Swaminarayan Defense Academy. Today we are going to focus on our next chapter, that is animal classification. Here we are going to focus on what basis the animals are classified, what are the criteria on which they are classified, such as their appearance, morphology, their specific characters regarding the morphological structure such as hair, body, then mouth, internally, that is anatomically as well as physiologically, what type of cell structures are seen, how their symmetry is there. Okay, so for that purpose we will try to understand and complete this chart so that you will come to know that what specific things can be considered for the classification of organisms. Okay, here broad classification is given, but still then you can come to know what the characters have been considered. So see, living organisms can be classified into two, that is prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Okay, prokaryotes are the organisms where there is no membrane bound organelles are seen. Okay, DNA is present, the genetic material is present, but without a membrane. Eukaryotes are the true organisms which have the advanced level of the cellular organization. Cells, all the cells and cell organelles present their nuclear membrane. DNA is intact within the nucleus. This small point, even if you remember, then too it is more than sufficient. So in prokaryotes, kingdom Monera comes, right? And eukaryotes, they are unicellular organism and multicellular. Unicellular are the single celled organisms. Okay, and multicellular more than one cells. In unicellular organism comes your kingdom Protista. In multicellular, again there are of two types, with cell wall and without cell wall. With cell wall and without cell wall. So the one which contains the cell wall are belonging to your plant group and fungal group, but now the classification is done on the basis of their food habit. Okay, the plants are autotrophs. The plants are the autotrophs. That is, they can prepare their own food with the help of sunlight. And fungi or fungus, they are heterotrophs. That is, they cannot prepare their own food. So before starting, let us understand from where the actual process of classification started. So first, who was the one who tried to classify the organisms, whether they are unicellular or multicellular, they are prokaryotes or eukaryotes, how they tried to classify them. Okay, so first was the Aristotle, who has given the artificial method of classification. Okay, Aristotle was the one who tried to classify these organisms. Next comes then this artificial method was followed by Theophrastus, Linnaeus, John Ray. Okay, then let us come your natural system of classification, And after that, now what we are using, the system of classification is based on the cell biochemical properties, morphological structures. Okay, so history, many years ago, this scientist or the one who started this classification, हे कट करूंगा मैम, डायरेक्ट जंप करते पुढच्या याच्यावर. So now we are going to focus on traditional method of classification, in which we are mainly going to focus on the animal classification. Only the characters of animal, on the basis of which they are classified, we are going to just focus on them. Okay. So traditionally, or in earlier days, these animals were classified on the basis of the presence of nerve cord, notochord and pharyngeal gill slits. Okay, so the presence and absence of these three distinguishing feature, the animals were considered as chordate and non-chordate. The characters of non-chordates are, that is, the characters of non-chordates are the absence of notochord, pharyngeal gill slits and nerve cord. Okay, this nerve cord is usually a cord which is present on the ventral side. If you see the primitive organisms or the organisms which are before the chordates, they all have the nerve cord, or their nervous system is on the ventral side and the respiratory system is on the dorsal side, that is on the back side. And the chordate, the specific character of chordate, like humans, we have our respiratory system on the ventral side and our nervous system on the dorsal side, that is back side. Okay, just on the presence of the nerve cord, notochord and pharyngeal gill slits, the organisms are classified. So now, similarly in chordates, there is presence of notochord. Their body is supported, or the whole structure is supported by notochord. It is just like your vertebral column, a hard structure which is giving the posture to your body. Similarly, in this smaller organism, in lower organism, this notochord is giving this support to their body. Then this pharyngeal gill slits or lungs, they are present for the purpose of respiration. In humans also, these pharyngeal gill slits are present only in the embryonic stages. Whenever a new embryo is formed, a new fetus is formed, at that time, due to presence of amniotic fluid surrounding that organism or that embryo, the respiratory processes is done with the help of these gill slits and not the lung. Once the organism mature, fully grows in third trimester, and finally when it comes or it is born to this world, then it finally respires through the lungs. And the presence of nerve cord, which is specifically seen on your dorsal side. Mark this word, that is nerve cord and notochord present on your dorsal side, as the back side of the organism. And heart, the respiratory or the pumping organ which pumps the blood throughout the body, is present at the ventral side of the body. Okay, so what is the notochord? Notochord is a long rod like supporting structure which is present on the dorsal side or the back side of the organism. Okay, see here you can see the notochord is on dorsal side, nerve cord, which is the main part of your nervous system. Then gill slits, they are at the ventral side or lower side of the organism. So animal kingdom can mainly be classified as non-chordate and non-chordate. We have just discussed the what are the characters of non-chordate and what are the characters of chordate. That is the presence of chordate, that is the presence of, what are the character of chordate? Presence of nerve cord, notochord and pharyngeal gill slits. Okay, these are the characters of your chordate. While that of the non-chordate do not have the nerve cord, notochord and pharyngeal gill slit. If at all any supporting structure is present, it is just the notochord. Okay. Now these non-chordate are further classified into many phylums such as Protozoa, Porifera, Cnidaria, Platyhelminths, then Aschelminths, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, and then Hemichordata. Okay. This is the grade of evolution from single cellular or unicellular organism to multicellular organism, again which are showing various grades of organization, various types of symmetry. Okay. Then presence and absence of coelom are some character along which these organisms are classified, and they have shown the evolutionary grade. But that is, the evolution can be seen that how simple unicellular organism is converted into multicellular organism. What are the different characters? Slowly they have acquired, they have become multicellular, and also they have become more advanced in their character. And once the advancement or there was addition of character, new species emerged. Okay. Next is your subkingdom Chordata, phylum Chordata, and this phylum Chordata again is divided into subphylum, that is Urochordata, Cephalochordata and Vertebrata. Urochordata, that is here the nerve cord or notochord is present at the tail region. In Cephalochordata, the nerve cord or notochord is present just at the dorsal side or the head region. And Vertebrata, that nerve cord or notochord is present throughout the body, starting from the dorsal up to the starting from anterior to posterior end of the organism. Anterior end is the topper end of organism and posterior end is the bottom end of the organism. You can also say that head and tail region. Best at your level, you anterior posterior, if it is confused, you just remember that is head and tail region. Okay. These are the biological terminology which are used for the upper side and lower side of the organism. Okay. Then bottom side, back side. Bottom side is your ventral side, back side is your dorsal side, top is your anterior, lower is your posterior side. Okay. Then side, these are known as the lateral sides. So these are some terminology which you have to remember while studying the biology. This term are going to come again and again. So don't get confused what is meant by anterior, what is meant by posterior, what is lateral. Okay. Then next, Vertebrata is again divided into class Cyclostomata, Pisces, Amphibia, Reptilia, Aves and Mammals. Mammals are the most advanced organisms or the species of this earth which are occupying the wide areas. So for now, we are going to focus on our first aspect, that is criteria for the purpose of classification. What are the characters which are considered for the purpose of classification? Okay. In that, we are first going to discuss, that is grade of organization. That is, what is grade of organization? That how that organism was organized, whether it is a single cell or it is multicellular. You must be knowing that single cell. So before understanding the grade of organization, you must be knowing the simple concept of your 8th standard, that when single cell is also a functional cell. You may know the unicellular organisms, that is protista, all your prokaryotes. At the starting of lesson only we have discussed that unicellular, multicellular organism. In unicellular, the single cell is acting as an individual organism. It is performing all its function very properly like a multicellular organism. But if these cells comes together, one cell, two cell or such type of clubbing of the cells gives rise to your tissue. When many tissues performing the similar function, having similar structure comes together, they form a organ. And when such organ performing similar function come together, it forms a organ system. It forms a organ system. Same thing we have to understand while studying the grades of organization. Okay. So same things we are going to study while understanding the organization, grade of organization, that when single cell performs or just a group of cell perform the function of that organism, then it is known as cellular grade of organization. When such cell performing similar function come together, it forms a tissue, then it is known as cell tissue grade of organization. When such tissues come together having similar function, also made up of similar kinds of cell, then it forms an organ and it is known as organ grade of organization. Okay. So with the help of example, we'll just try to recall them. Okay. The organisms we show the cellular grade of organization are the organism of your phylum Porifera, are of phylum Porifera. They are showing cellular grade of organization, that similar structure, the cells which are showing similar structural and functional characteristic are coming together and they are performing as a individual organism. They are performing their functions as an individual organism. Similarly, the phylum Cnidaria shows the cell and tissue grade of organization. Cnidaria. Okay. Then comes your tissue grade of organization of the group known as Porifera. Tissue grade of organization in your Cnidaria. Then cell tissue grade of organization. So these are some examples of cellular grade of organization, that is your cycon, here your jellyfish, here your planaria. Planaria shows the tissue and organ level of organization. Planaria shows the tissue and organ level of organization. Jellyfish shows the tissue level of organization, that is similar kinds of tissue performing similar functions come together and perform their function. And in the phylum Porifera, just the group of cells such as collar cells and amoeboid cells, this comes together and perform their similar function. Then comes your body symmetry. Symmetry means that whenever an imaginary axis is passed from that organism is divided into two equal halves. Okay. So what is symmetry? Symmetry is division of that organism by an imaginary axis into two equal halves. So there are again three types of symmetry. First is asymmetry, then next is your radial symmetry, and finally is your bilateral symmetry. So we will try to understand each symmetry one by one. Okay. So first is your asymmetry, that is whenever a imaginary axis or imaginary plane passed through that organism is not divided into two equal halves. Okay. That organism is not divided into two equal halves. Such symmetry is known as asymmetry. That body of that organism is not showing the equal distribution of the organs or the organ system or the morphologically. Here mostly what is considered, it is your morphology. The character, if consider the humans, if we divide an imaginary axis, if we divide the organism or pass an imaginary axis, the right and left side looks alike, that is looks similar, right? Looks similar, but in a symmetric condition the organisms are not showing the equal distribution of the morphological character. They cannot be divided into two equal halves. In radial symmetry, here 5 different planes can be passed through the organism, and each plane passing is showing the similar kind of division. That is, the plane cannot be passed at a single time. 5 planes are not passed through single time, but in different angle, these 5 times this plane can be passed, and each time whenever you pass the plane from that organism, whenever an imaginary axis is passing through that organism is looking similar, that both the halves of the organisms are looking similar. Okay, that's why it is known as radial symmetry. 5 different planes can be passed, and each time whenever the plane is passed, the organism is looking, the two halves of the organism is looking similar. In bilateral symmetry, just a single plane is passing through that organism from a single angle, and that single plane and single angle is giving rise to two different is giving rise to equal half the organism. Best examples are the mammals, or consider the human. We can be divided just into two equal half from a single axis. Our right side and left side is looking similar. Okay. Next is your germ layer. What do you mean by germ layer? That whenever an organism is forming, when zygote give rise to embryo, and during that formation of embryo, in early cells zygote divide, redivide, it form blastula, gastrula, then embryonic stages come. At that time, different types of layers are formed, which are your ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm. Okay, and these germ layers gives rise to different tissues, different epidermal cells, different organs. Okay, so according to these germ layer distribution, or the differentiation or characteristic, what they want to explain here, that is, some organism may be diploblastic. Okay, and some may be triploblastic. Okay, some may be triploblastic. Okay, diploblastic contains only 2 germ layer. So organism of diploblastic only contain 2 germ layer, that is ectoderm and endoderm. Ectoderm and endoderm. So organism of triploblastic show 3 germ layer, that is inner one is endoderm, middle one is mesoderm, and outer one is ectoderm. So next come your body cavity. The scientific name for body cavity is known as coelom. What it is known as? Coelom. What do you understand by the term of body cavity? That whenever an organism is forming, internally the skin or the external skin is separated from the internally the organs. Okay, so what do you understand by the body cavity or coelom? That is, internally there is presence of some kind of cavity present in the organs and the internal body. Okay, the cavity present between the internal organs and the internal body lining is known as coelom or body cavity. There are again 3 types of organism based on this presence and absence of cavity. If the cavity is present, then those organisms are known as eucoelomates. If the cavity is not present, they are known as acoelomate. And if at all the cavity is present but it is not properly distinguished, if true cavity is not present, then it is known as pseudocoelomate. Okay, so see here, what are the characters of eucoelomate? In eucoelomate, the cavity is arising from the mesoderm. Okay. So in eucoelomate, the cavity is seen between the ectoderm and where the cavity is in. Ectoderm is your outer layering. Internally there is presence of endoderm, and between the ectoderm and endoderm there is the mesoderm. So this mesoderm, ectoderm, okay, so when this ectoderm is present, between the ectoderm and endoderm there is the presence of these mesodermal cells, and these mesodermal cells are just joined with the ectoderm and endoderm with the mesenteries. They are joined with the mesenteries. Mesenteries are these flap. Mesenteries are this location where this body cavity is just attached. Okay, this endoderm and ectoderm are not completely separated from each other. They are in contact with each other with the help of the mesoderm, but not completely, at some points only. And these points where the ectoderm and mesoderm are coming in contact with the help of your mesodermal cells, that points are known as mesenteries. And in such organisms, the cavity can be completely seen. A true cavity is seen. A whole circle of the cavity is seen between the organs and your internal body. Okay, whatever the lining is there of body, and there is a space between the organs, and this is known as coelom. But at some places it will be joined, and that joining places are known as mesenteries. What are the examples of this eucoelomate? The organism from Annelida onwards, the organism from Annelida, phylum Annelida onwards, whatever the phylums are coming, all are showing the eucoelomate kind of structure. In pseudocoelomate, there is no cavity, or if at all the cavity is there, it is false cavity. That is, in some places you will see the cavity, some places there will be the bunches of cell of ectoderm and endoderm, again cavity, again ectoderm and endodermal cells. Okay, that you cannot distinguish between the separate layers of the organism, that is ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm. They are not specifically distinguished in the pseudocoelomate organisms. Finally comes your acoelomate, there where there is not presence of any kind of cavity. Here ectodermal cell is followed by mesoderm, and mesoderm is followed by endoderm. There is no presence of any kind of cavity between the mesodermal layer of the organisms. Okay, hope so you have understood this point. Body segmentation is just that organism's body can be divided into different segments. It is prominently seen in earthworms, that in earthworm, if you have seen properly, there are ring-like structures. Ring-like structure is seen throughout the body. That is, the metameric segmentation of organism is seen, and each segment is performing its own function. Such organization where the body of organism can be divided into different segments is known as the body segmentation. So quickly we can revise that according to the types of organization of organism, there are different phylums, that is example of different phylums. So kingdom Animalia is mostly considered, organisms are mostly multicellular, but few are also unicellular. Then according to the body grade of organization, there are two types, cellular and tissue grade of organization. The organism having the cellular grade of organization, they are asymmetrical, that is their body cannot be divided into two equal half from an imaginary axis. Also they are acoelomate, that is they do not have the body cavity too. And what are the example of this cellular grade of organization, asymmetry, acoelomate organism or type of organization? The phylum Porifera. So organisms of phylum Porifera are belonging to these grades of organization. Then comes your tissue grade of organization and organ grade of organization. Here the organisms, some organisms or some animals of phylum are showing radial symmetry and some are showing the bilateral symmetry. Okay. So radial symmetry, the organism we show the radial symmetry are acoelomate belonging to phylum Cnidaria. Bilateral symmetry, the organisms are acoelomate, pseudocoelomate and eucoelomate. Okay. The bilateral symmetry showing organisms are acoelomate, pseudocoelomate and eucoelomate. But acoelomate is mostly platyhelminths, phylum platyhelminths, organism belonging to phylum platyhelminths. All organisms are acoelomate. Organisms of Aschelminths are pseudocoelomate, but the organisms Annelida onwards, each and every organisms belonging to phylum Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Hemichordata and Chordata, all are showing the true coelom, or they are known as eucoelomate. If at all you want to quickly revise the different types of grade of organization along with the examples of the phylum, you can refer this chart. Now we are going to start the actual study of these particular phylum, starting from Porifera up to the class Mammalia. Now we are going to understand with the help of the grades of organization what we have discussed till now, along upon which these organisms are showing what type of characters and how they are classified. Okay, so first we are just going to start with phylum Porifera. These organisms are the most simple organisms. Okay, they are showing simple body plan, and the organism belonging to Porifera, they are also commonly known as sponges. They are mostly aquatic habitat. In aquatic also they may be marine or freshwater dwellers. That is, they can be seen in marine or water as well as the freshwater too. Next, what type of body symmetry? They are asymmetrical. We have already studied during the studying of the types of symmetry. The asymmetry, example of asymmetry is the phylum Porifera. Just recall that flow chart for perfect understanding of these characters. Okay, asymmetrical body plan. Then which type of grade of organization? That is cellular grade of organization, wherein the special type of cell, that is collar cells, these are responsible for generating a current and for digesting the food. Next, they do not show the locomotion. They are attached to substratum, that is they are sedentary. Sedentary means the organism which do not show any kind of locomotion. They are not moving from one place to another. Okay, such mode of habit is or dwelling is known as sedentary. They do not show the locomotion. Then their body. Now this organism is there, cellular grade of organization is there, but there should be some kind of strength or support to that organism. So such strength and support is given by the spicules or the spongin fiber in this organism. Okay, next these bodies or this organism shows different types of opening. Single large opening is known as osculum. The single large opening is known as osculum, and the small pores from which the water current flows in, it is known as ostia. Then the mode of reproduction seen in this organism is mostly a sexual mode of reproduction. Specifically it is budding. Example are Cycon, Euspongia, Euplectella and Hyloneema. Example are cycon, euspongia, euplectella and hyloneema. Next is Cnidaria. Cnidaria or phylum Coelenterata. Okay, these organisms show two types of organism or modifications within themselves. These two modifications seen in these Coelenterata or Cnidarians, it is polyps and medusa. Polyps is a sessile sedentary form, while as medusa is free living form. Jellyfish, the best example of medusa or free living form is jellyfish, and the one which is sedentary or sessile is hydra. Okay, so two forms, just remember the two forms, polyps and medusa. Medusa is free living, umbrella like, and the polyps is sedentary, cylindrical body. Okay, next again they are marine. It may be freshwater or marine. The habitat is aquatic habitat. Habitat means where they are living, and habit means how they are living, what are their food habits or other kinds of activity they are performing. On that basis they are characterized. So habitat is, that is aquatic habitat, in which specifically they are marine as well as freshwater dwellers. So symmetry is radial symmetry. Then cnidoblast are the specialized type of cell which are responsible for offensive and defensive mechanism. That is, these cnidoblasts secrete some kinds of toxin, because of which these organisms are able to prey they are able to prey on the different organism. They can take their food. Also they can defend themselves, or they can protect themselves from the enemy organism or two. So example of such cnidarian are the hydra, adamsia, physalia and aurelia. Okay, some best known example are hydra, adamsia, physalia and aurelia. Next comes your third phylum, that is phylum platyhelminths, also known as flatworms. These platyhelminths are also known as flatworms. Their body is flat. That's why they are also known as flatworm. They are parasitic. They are showing which mode of dwelling? That is, what is their habit and habitat? They are parasites, specifically the endoparasite. They are living inside the body of organism for their nutrition purpose, to acquire the nourishment from the organisms. So they are free living, aquatic and endoparasite. Presence of cavity, then there is no cavity, that is acoelomate. Symmetry, bilateral symmetry. Organism can be divided into two equal halves from a single plane. Then here comes your germ layer character, that is triploblastic. Organism can be seen having the ectoderm, mesoderm as well as the endoderm. Then comes your hermaphrodite is the concept. Okay, hermaphrodite is a term or concept in which the organism is showing male and female reproductive organ within the same individual. Normally we see males are different organism, female individual is different with their different reproductive character, structure, habitat, right? But whenever we say that organism is hermaphrodite, that time what should come into your mind? That these organisms contain male as well as female reproductive organs within the same individual. Next example of these are planarial, liver fluke and tapeworm. Tapeworm is endoparasite of humans. Liver fluke is endoparasite of sheep, right? And planaria, it is free living organism seeing mostly into the aquatic habitat, that is fresh water. Next phylum, that is Aschelminth. Next phylum, Aschelminth, also known as roundworm. Aschelminth are also known as roundworm. They are again, what is their habit and habitat? Free living endoparasite. These are also endoparasites causing different diseases to humans and different types of organisms. Then pseudocoelomet and triploblastic. What do you mean by triploblastic now? That the organism having triploblastic organization, that organism have 3 germ layer: ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm. Coelom, there is no presence of true coelom. There is no presence of true coelom. Okay. Then segmentation, no, there is no any kind of segmentation seen in this organism, but there is presence of cuticle, which is a protective covering of this organism, so that it can be protected from the different type of chemicals of the predator organism or the organism within which it is residing. They are unisexual, that is male and female are different. Example, Ascaris, Loaloa and Filaria worm. These all are the parasitic organism causing different diseases to humans. Next is phylum Annelida. Now Annelida are the organisms which show triploblastic nature. They are true coelomate and they are free living organisms. So they are cylindrical metameric segmentation is seen. When we were studying the characteristic of organization, different on the basis of which the whole system of classification is based, animal classification is based. From that last one we have discussed about the metameric segmentation, that is the organism's body is divided into different segments. See this earthworm, it is having different kinds of segments. These linings, these are the segments. Okay. Then what points you have to remember from annelidan point of view or characteristic of annelida? What you have to remember? First is that is metameric segmentation. Next is they are parasitic, specifically the ectoparasite. They are ectoparasite. Next is triploblastic, presence of 3 germ layer. Bilateral symmetry, organism is divided into 2 equal half from a single plane. And eucoelomate, that is the body cavity is present. Body cavity is present. Then presence of setae, parapodia, suckers for the purpose of locomotion. Locomotion cannot be done automatically. There should be some kind of body structures which are helping in locomotion, like in humans we have legs, right? In wild animals they have limbs, 4 limbs. So with the help of that they are able to locomote or change their position from one place to another, right? So next is that for locomotion, setae, that is small structures are the setae. Suckers, that suction pressure, they first create the suction pressure and then they locomote. Then next is your covering. For the protection purpose, that harsh environmental condition, chemical should not affect their internal body, there is presence of an outer covering that is known as cuticle. Okay. Then next is what type of organisms they are, that is whether they are hermaphrodite or unisexual. So now the word hermaphrodite, you must recall, that is there is presence of male and female reproductive organ within the same individual, right? So hermaphrodite is a condition where male and female reproductive organs are seen within the same individual. Unisexual, at a time single organism or single gender is present. This organism may be female or this may be male only. Best examples are earthworm, most familiar, leech and nereis. Leech and nereis are the best example. Leech, you may be knowing the significance or importance of leech. Leech are the organism from which the anesthetic compound is extracted. In earlier days, this leech was used for the purpose of numbing the wounded region or the surgery where the surgery has been performed. At that area, the sensation should be stopped. The numbing of that particular area was done with the help of leech. Leech are having some kind of substances which help in numbing the area. For some time, that area, the sensation of that area are completely stopped. So biological importance or the commercial importance of leech, you can remember that it was used as an anesthesia organism or anesthetic for the anesthetic purpose. These organisms or its substances were used. Phylum Arthropoda. What do you mean by arthropoda? Etymology of arthropoda is that presence of jointed appendages. Jointed appendages means there are presence of joints in their legs. Okay, arthropoda, presence of jointed appendages. It is the most largest phylum of the earth. It is the first and most largest phylum of the earth or the kingdom Animalia. Maximum number of organisms which are present in today's date, they are belonging to phylum Arthropoda. The special character is presence of jointed appendages. First largest phylum which contains the large number of organisms are seen from the phylum Arthropoda. Then habitat, they are omnivorous. You can see them in each and every habitat. Aquatic, marine. In aquatic you can see them as freshwater dwellers as well as marine water dwellers. Aerial mode of habitat, terrestrial mode of habitat means they have not lived a single place where they cannot be seen. The organisms or some examples of arthropoda are there which can be seen in each and every habitat. Okay, next again, from now we have already discussed that from the Annelida onwards all organisms are eucoelomate. They all are eucoelomate, triploblastic, and the symmetry here now, which type of symmetry is there? Bilateral symmetry is there. Okay, then chitinous exoskeleton. In arthropoda, the exoskeleton or for the protection purpose, whatever the external covering is there, that is known as chitin. Okay, that external covering is made up of chitin protein. It is chitinous in nature. Exoskeleton is chitinous. Okay, then single individual at a time, that is the organism may be male or female. Examples are crab, spider, scorpion, millipede, centipede and so on. All the organisms which are belonging to arthropoda are having jointed appendages. They are omnivores, that is they are omnipresent. They are omnipresent, can be seen in each and every habitat. Exoskeleton is known as chitinous exoskeleton. Why? Because they are made up of chitin protein. Next is phylum Mollusca. Next, phylum Mollusca. Why mollusca? Because their body is soft. Molluscan organisms are soft bodied organisms. They do not have any kind of hard protective structure around them. That's why they are known as soft bodied organism. Mollusks are the soft bodied organisms. Their body is soft, slimy, and it is the second largest phylum of animal. It is second largest phylum of organism. Then habitat. It is aquatic in habitat and also terrestrial. In aquatic you will mostly see the marine and few are freshwater dweller. From the aquatic habitat, maximum numbers are marine organisms. Then again, grades of organization. Which type of grades of organization? Triploblastic, eucoelomate and non-segmented. Triploblastic, eucoelomate, non-segmented, soft-bodied. Okay. Mostly these organisms are soft body, but there is again one example, that is, it is also an exception, that snails, the snails have the calcareous protective shell around itself, and this shell, that is presence of shell, and the body is divided into foot, dorsal head, ventral foot and visceral mass. Okay, body's visceral mass is covered with mantle, then mantle secretes a hard calcareous shell. This is the only exception of mollusks, that the organism's body is soft itself. Organism body is soft, but whatever the hard structure or protective covering is there, that is present, and that is the mantle, that is the shell. The hard covering is known as shell. It may be external or internal. In case of octopus, it is internal, and in case of snail and bivalve are the pearl oyster, from which you get the pearl. This contains the external shell. Organisms are again unisexual. Example are snail and octopus. Next comes your phylum Echinodermata, that is, spines are present on the organism's body. What is the peculiarity of phylum Echinodermata? That is presence of the spines. Which type of spines? Calcareous spines, that is, calcium is main component of these spines. These spines are made up of calcareous, that is, calcium is main component of these spines, hence they are known as Echinodermata. Now these organisms are again triploblastic, eucoelomate with radial symmetry. Here symmetry changes. Why? Because the organism can be divided into more than, body organism is divided into just two equal half, but more than one plane. Body can be divided into two equal half, but more than one plane. Again they are, what type of habitat is it? It is aquatic, specifically the marine habitat. These Echinodermata organisms are mostly marine in habitat. What type of grade of organization? That is tissue grade of organization, organ grade of organization, along with triploblastic, eucoelomate and radial symmetry. Next, there is for locomotion presence of tube feet. For the purpose of locomotion, there is presence of tube feet, which creates the suction pressure, and as the suction pressure or vacuum pressure is created, they are able to stick to the substratum. Some are also sedentary. What do you mean by sedentary? That they do not locomote. Where they are residing, they will remain in same position for many more months, year, or for a longer period of time. They will remain over there. Okay. Then skeleton. Skeleton is again made up of calcareous spines or the ossicles. When you will say ossicle, whenever the plate-like structure is seen, that is ossicle. Or if you see the needle-like structure, it is spine. But the main component of whether it is ossicle or the spines, it is calcium only. They are made up of calcium. Then regeneration is the main important property of Echinodermata. That is, if a smaller part of, or any major part, smaller part of that organism's body is amputated or removed from their main body, then that part can be regenerated. Then next is unisexual. Single individual is showing single kind of reproductive structure. whether male or female. Example are starfish, sea urchin, sea cucumber and brittle star. Then comes your phylum Hemichordata. Hemichordata are also known as the connecting link between non-chordate and chordate. Why? Because they are showing the presence of notochord, slight presence of notochord, okay, but only at the mouth region. Only at the mouth region. So what are the peculiarities of hemichordata? We will discuss it. That is, their body is divided into proboscis, collar and trunk. Proboscis is your head region, then collar is your middle region and trunk is your bottom region, okay, below the neck region. Then notochord is present in these organisms, though it is present in a smaller region of organism's body, that is, it is just residing or it is just into the proboscis region. Because of that, but the presence is seen. The presence of these notochord is seen. That's why these organisms are known as hemichordate. From these hemichordate, the visualization or the presence of notochord has been started. Before this organism before the hemichord or phylum before the hemichordate do not show any kind of nerve cord, notochord or presence of gill slits. The organization was also very simple, tissue grade or just cellular grade of organization. Organs were organ grade of organization was just starting from the echinodermata. There were no complete digestive system seen, nervous system seen, but there was just occurrence of that systems. But in hemichordata, the presence of notochord in the proboscis region was the key feature for saying the connecting link between chordates and non-chordates. Okay, the organ or the best example of this hemichordata is acorn worm, or the organisms of this phylum are also known as acorn worm. They are marine water and they are mostly living in the burrows. These organisms are marine and mostly living in the burrow. There is also presence of pharyngeal gill slits. There is also presence of pharyngeal gill slits for the purpose of respiration. And these organisms are hermaphrodite and unisexual. Some are unisexual, some are hermaphrodite. Hermaphrodite means presence of male and female reproductive organ within the same. Again, I am repeating this. Don't forget. What do you mean by hermaphrodite? Example, balanoglossus and saccoglossus. Phylum Chordata. Peculiar characteristic of phylum Chordata: presence of nerve cord, notochord, pharyngeal gill slits is the main feature of phylum Chordata. If the organisms have notochord, nerve cord and pharyngeal gill slits or lung, then these organisms are belonging to phylum Chordata. Okay. So in that we will discuss the first, that is subphylum Urochordata. Why this is known as Urochordata? Because the notochord is seen at the tail region. Because the notochord is seen in tail region, that's why these organisms are known as, or the organisms are placed into the group Urochordata. That is, presence of notochord in the tail region is the feature of organisms. Their body is having a special type of covering. Now the covering in Urochordate is known as tunic, test or tunic. The covering of this organism is now known as tunic. Okay. Next, then these organisms are showing metamorphosis. These organisms are showing metamorphosis. That is, egg is not directly giving rise to adult. Egg is first hatched. Different developmental stages are seen, and these different developmental stages gives rise to adult. Okay, then these different developmental stages or larval stages gives rise to adult. The egg directly do not give rise to adults. That why this condition is known as, or this process is known as metamorphosis. Organisms are mostly hermaphrodite. Example, Herdmania, Dolulilum and Ecopleura. Best example are Herdmania, Dolulum and Ecopleura. Subphylum Cephalochordata. Now in Cephalochordata, the notochord is seen in your head region. See, or the anterior region, the nerve cord or notochord is seen. At the nerve cord or notochord is seen at specifically at the dorsal side, or notochord is present throughout the length. There is presence of notochord, nerve cord, and especially at the head region. Then presence of gill slits. Organisms are unisexual, that is at a time single reproductive structure is same. Example is Amphioxus. Next, subphylum Vertebrata or Craniata. Vertebrata or Craniata. Why Craniata? Because now in this organism the brain is well protected into the cranium or the bony structure in which the nervous system is well protected. Now in this organism the notochord is replaced with the vertebral column. Which is protecting the nerve cord. Okay, in vertebrata the notochord is converted into a more advanced and specific hard structure known as vertebral column, within which the nerve cord is well protected and the brain is protected from cranium. Endoskeleton is also seen. It may be made up of bones or the cartilage. Cartilage is a soft bone. Cartilage can be said as soft bone, and our normal bones are hard, rough structures giving a strength and support to our body posture, while as cartilage is giving support but it is soft in nature. Then some chordates may be with the jaw and some may be without the jaw. The organisms which are having the jaw, they are known as gnatha or gnathostomata, and the organism which do not have the jaw or jawless organisms are known as agnatha. So now in that, first we are going to discuss the cyclostomata. Why cyclostomata? Can you directly jump on the fishes? No. Fishes have also been derived or evolved from some other kind of organisms, right? After hemichordate, there were some organisms which were showing the most advanced character, that is the characters of chordate, the presence of pharyngeal gill slits, nerve cord, notochord. Okay, but along with that, but their morphological structure was not so advanced that they can be grouped into other organisms. That's why the maximum character, as it was showing of chordate, it was placed into subphylum chordata, and in that also the class cyclostomata. What are the peculiarities of cyclostomata? That is, they are having the suckers. First is that is they are not having jaw, right? The presence of jaw is the most advanced character. Now we humans have the jaws, right? Now the complex multicellular organisms are having jaws, right? So obviously their evolution of these jaw organisms of having the jaw was seen from the jawless organisms. Then definitely the cyclostomatans should not have the jaw, so they are jawless, and for the feeding purpose they have suckers. They are showing the presence means the jointed appendages for locomotion is absent. In the place of that, what they have? The fin like structure. Body is soft without scale, paired appendages are not seen, then they are parasitic in nature. Specifically which type of parasite? They are ectoparasite, living on the body of organism, not in the body of organism, living on the body of organism. Endoskeleton is cartilaginous. Endoskeleton is cartilaginous, made up of cartilage, soft bones. Example, petromyzon and myxin. Example, petromyzon and myxin. So what you have to remember from cyclostomata point of view, class cyclostomata, what you have to remember? That is, they are jawless. For feeding purpose, they have suckers. They do not have any kind of appendages for locomotion. Then next, they are parasitic, specifically which they are residing on the body. That's why ectoparasite. And examples are petromyzon and myxin. Next comes your class Pisces, or the class of fishes. All the fishes are belonging to class Pisces. What are the peculiarities of fishes or the class Pisces? That is, first is they are cold-blooded. Biological term for cold-blooded is poikilotherms. The biological term used for cold-blooded organism is poikilotherms. That is, what to understand by cold-blooded or poikilotherm? That these organisms cannot maintain their body temperature constant. As we humans, our body temperature is constant, 37 degrees Celsius. No matter what the season is, whether it is summer, winter or rainy, but internally our body temperature is 37 itself, right? But that is not in case of these poikilotherm or cold-blooded organism. The temperature changes as the external temperature changes. That's why they are cold-blooded. Or you can simply keep in mind that cold-blooded organism, the scientific term for cold-blooded organism is poikilotherm. What is the characteristic of poikilotherm? That the organisms cannot maintain their body temperature with the external environmental temperature. Okay, this is the only point which you have to remember regarding the poikilotherms. Then body is spindle shape. Why this is spindle shape? That is, what do you mean by spindle shape? That is, in middle part of the body is bulged, but the endings are narrow, or the body is streamlined. Body spindle shape or streamlined. Why? To water resistance should be seen, or to the resistance or the stoppage of the water current should be stopped. What are the next peculiarity of these Pisces, class Pisces? First you have understood, that is poikilotherm. Next is body is streamlined. Okay, why streamlined? Because the swimming should be easy for this organism, or for swimming purpose their tapering, their anterior and posterior end is narrowed or tapering. Next, they have paired and unpaired fins. There are presence of paired and unpaired fins. Fins means the locomotory structure. These locomotory structures, fins are there. Membranous fins are there. So they may be in pair or they may be without pair. That's why they are said pair or unpaired fin. Tail fin is used as a steering organ for the purpose of swimming. Tail fin is used as a steering organ to change the direction. This tail fin is used. Endoskeleton, endo and exoskeleton. Exoskeleton, that is external supporting structure is scale. External supporting structure is scale, and endoskeleton, it may be cartilage or bones. So in Pisces, in class Pisces, the endoskeleton can be seen of two type, cartilage and bony. So endoskeleton may be cartilage and endoskeleton may be bony also. The organisms which are showing the cartilage endoskeleton, they are mostly your sharks. All sharks have the cartilaginous endoskeleton, and all the advanced fishes, they have bony endoskeleton. Respiration is seen with the help of gills. These aquatic organisms or the pisces or fishes do not have the lungs, as they are not terrestrial habitat. They are not showing the terrestrial habitat, so they have to live in water. They are aquatic habitat, whether it is marine or whether it is freshwater. They have to breathe in the water itself. That's why they have gills. What is the role of these gills? Gills take in the water. There is thin membrane present below the skin of organism, where the water comes inside the fish's body, and these membranes which are coming in contact with this water current, the exchange of gases takes place, and again that water is thrown out of the body from these gills itself, and in this way the organism is able to breathe or is able to exchange the gases in the aquatic environment. So best examples are rohu, pomfret, then seahorse, shark. All type of the organism residing in the water are belonging to class Pisces. Next, class Amphibia. Class Amphibia. Now, why amphibia? Because they can live in water as well as on land. Okay, amphibia. Why amphibia? Because they can live in water as well as land. There are some developmental stages are aquatic, and there are some developmental stages or adults. Mostly the adults are terrestrial in habitat. Okay, these organisms are strictly aquatic when during the larval stages or the developmental stages, and once they have matured, then at that time their adult life is mostly terrestrial. The adult life is mostly terrestrial, land or terrestrial. Okay, their adult life is terrestrial. That's why they are known as amphibian. Amphi means two. They can live in water as well as land, but specifically here you have to mention that their developmental stages or larval stages are seen in water, and the adults are residing on the land. That is, they are showing the terrestrial mode of habitat. Appendages or the limbs, right? There are two pairs of appendages. As you must, we have two pairs of appendages, hands and legs, right? And there is presence of digit without claw. There are presence of this digit. The finger like structure are known as digit. Exoskeleton is absent because they have to live in water as well as on land. The adults also have to go in aquatic habitat for the purpose of laying the eggs. That's why this external surface should not possess any kind of hard surface or hard structure. So that's why exoskeleton is absent. Skin is mostly moist. Skin is mostly moist because the respiration is also seen with the help of skin. Skin also play an important role in exchange of gases. Okay, ears are not present. The prominent ears, they are not present, but tympanum is playing the role of ear. Tympanum is present, which plays an important role for auditory functioning. Neck is absent. Eyes and eyelids can be seen. Eyes and eyelids can be seen in these organisms. Okay, so what you have to remember from class amphibian point of view, what you have to remember? First, they are dwelling in two habitats, that is water as well as land. What type of developmental stage is seen in aquatic habitat? Mostly the larval stages are aquatic and habitat, and the adults are residing on the land, that is terrestrial mode of habitat. Digits are seen. There is no specific claws like structure, means they cannot hold anything, but they have the finger with the webbed, they have webbed fingers. Then exoskeleton is absent because now they have just started to come on land, so they do not have complete lung like structure for the purpose of respiration. They have gills in the earlier stages, and after that the lungs have just started to be developed and seen. So that's why for the purpose of respiration, skin also play an important role. Okay, for auditory functioning, they do not have ear, they have the tympanum. Within the skin itself there is some structure known as, or there is a group of tissue known as tympanum, which is sensory in nature, which passes the senses that yes, some kind of organisms are there. The senses are passed through this tympanum. Example are frog, toad and salamander. You are familiar with frogs. The next is class Reptilia. Class Reptilia are now completely terrestrial in habitat. These are strictly terrestrial in habitat. Okay, they are again poikilothms, that is cold-blooded organism, cannot maintain their temperature with the changing surrounding temperature. They do not have the ability to maintain their body temperature. Cold-blooded poikilothms, the specific biological term, that is they cannot maintain their body temperature, or they do not have ability to maintain the body temperature with changing the surrounding temperature. Then next, they are creeping and crawling. Why? Because they cannot lift their body. Still, as the limbs have started to develop, that is forelimb and hind limbs have just started to develop, they have tails and all, but they cannot lift their body to locomote from one place to another. They cannot completely withstand and then walk like us. That's why they are known as creeping and crawling. They are in contact with land itself. The skin is dry and scaly. Neck is present, that is body is divided into head, neck and trunk. Body is divided into head, neck and trunk. External ear is absent. Then digits are provided with claws. Claws for holding any kind of organism or any kind of object, these claws are used. Example is tortoise, lizard and snake. Example, tortoise, lizard and snake. Next comes your class Aves. Now there is more advancement in these organisms. They have evolved. Now the organisms have started to rise up and take the habitat of air, that is aerial. Now they have acquired the aerial mode of habitat. Okay, they have adapted the aerial mode of habitat. Now they are warm-blooded or homeotherm. Now the organisms have become the warm-blooded, or specific terms from warm-blooded is homeotherms. Now these organisms can maintain their body temperature. They do not they are not affected with the changing external environment. Their body temperature is not changed as the environmental temperature is changed. The body temperature remains constant no matter what kind of environment is there, no matter what kind of season is there, no matter what kind of climatic conditions are occurring near around them. Okay, their internal body temperature remains same. Hence they are known as warm-blooded organisms. Body is again spindle shape. Why? Because now here the resistance should be from the air. In class Pisces, the resistance was against the water. Here the resistance was against the air. Hence their body is streamlined, tapering towards the anterior and posterior region. Now forelimbs are modified into wings. and digits are covered with the scales and claws. Okay. Now hind limb have the claws for holding the objects or the bark of this stem, and the forelimbs are modified into wings for flying purpose. Exoskeleton have the feather. Exoskeleton is made up of feather for protecting them from the environmental condition of maintaining their body temperature. Body is divided into head, neck and trunk, and the jaws are modified into beak. Their jaw cannot be seen prominently, the jaw cannot be seen, but in presence of jaw they are converted into beak for picking up the objects. Examples, no need to tell the examples of bird, you know many more example of bird: chick, hen, duck, right? These are the examples. Peacock, parrot and all the birds are the members of class aves. Next is class Mammalia, the class where we belong to or the humans belong to. Okay, class Mammalia. Peculiar character, that is presence of mammary gland. Mammary gland are the glands which produce the milk. These organisms of class Mammalia are nourished or they are fed with the milk, and this milk is produced by mammary glands. That's why this is the most peculiar character of class Mammalia, presence of the gland which are producing the milk. In early stages, these organisms are completely fed on the milk itself, and later on they are converted or they are transferred to other kinds of the feed. Okay, these organisms are again warm blooded. They can maintain their body temperature, that is they can maintain their constant body temperature. The temperature is not affected with the changing environmental condition. Body is divided into head, neck, trunk and tail. In our case, body is just divided into head, neck, trunk and not tail. Humans, do humans have the tail? No. Digits are provided with the nails, claws and hooves. What do you mean by digit? That is fingers. Fingers, we have the nails, right? We have nails. Some organisms will have hooves. All your buffaloes and horse, they have the hard structure. That hard structure is known as hooves. Okay. Exoskeleton is seen in the form of hairs and fur. The organisms which are residing in winter region or in the coldest climate, the organism residing in the coldest climate, they have the fur on their body for protective purpose. And other organism in normal temperature, they have the hairs. Example, elephant, human, kangaroo and dolphin. These are the best example. Bat is not a bird. Though the bat looks like bird, but it is not bird. It is laying or it is giving birth to their young ones. They do not lay eggs. Okay, first this is a peculiar feature of this bat, and next it do not have wings. This is not wings. Their forelimbs are modified into web-like membranous structure known as patagium. This membranous structure is known as patagium, which is covering all its limbs. Okay, but it is giving birth to their young ones. That is the most peculiar, again one more peculiar character of mammal, that is presence of mammary glands and giving birth to young ones. They do not lay eggs. Okay, so what you have to remember regarding the class Mammalia: presence of mammary gland, they are laying the they are not laying the eggs, they are giving birth to their young ones. Next, warm blooded, body divided into head, neck, trunk and tail. Their digit or finger consists of nails or the hoofs, claws. Exoskeleton consists of fur and hairs. Fur is mostly seen in the organism which are residing in the coldest environment. Here we complete our today's chapter, that is animal classification.